when it comes down to the ladies model, everything is pretty much exactly the same, apart from the fact that we have this huge bubble on our canvas. Now, a lot of you may find this very difficult to work with because, how are you going to work around it? Maybe you have seen photos of people canvassing ladies' jackets and there's like 500 stitches around the bust area. I'm here to say that none of that is really necessary because you can use exactly the same methods as I've already shown you for canvassing a ladies' jacket. So I'm just going to go through the pressing first, how to really prepare the panels and press it. It's going to be very similar, but it's just going to require you to look at what I'm doing so that you can kind of like get your mirror neurons active. So simply, I'll start with elevating the bust so that I can create a flat surface like so. And I'll begin by spraying the canvas just to get some moisture. And I will just press everything smooth. You have to be careful that you don't push the iron too far into the bust shape because it's a little bit more severe in this case, and so we don't want to distort the grain of the fabric too much. That's for the bottom. I'm going to move over to the upper part. Now you will notice that you have to work a bit more in sections. And whether you have a wedge here or not, that doesn't really matter because we're not going to canvas that area anyway. And you already know how to work around it with the iron. So, if you have to hold this up, hold it up. Use the shape of your iron to your advantage. Just press the areas that can lay flat, nice and smooth. And then move over to the side. Now I'm not pulling anything. I'm not trying to shape anything with the iron. I'm just bringing the surface of the iron over all these wrinkles. If you want to use your block, feel free to do so. And that's pretty much it. Now you may work on a canvas that instead of having a front side dart has a neck dart. Doesn't really matter, you're doing pretty much the same thing. You're raising the shape, making sure that nothing is being flattened by the iron and everything can just be worked on as smoothly as possible. So that's the canvas. Now, let's position the canvas here on the side and let's go ahead and press the fabric. Same thing exactly. Raise the chest, apply moisture, smooth out, press the lower half. Now you may be wondering what this is. Well, this is because the upper part of the side is a separate panel that has been attached to the forepart, and that's to create this seam, this princess kind of like seam that we have here. Some tailors call it a patrol cut, some call it a side panel, some call it whatever they want to call it, but all you have to know is that this is a separate panel. You can even use your ham if you want a higher block. And again, that's pretty much it. So now we have our forepart with a large bust shape and it's ready to go on the canvas. So the lines are going to be exactly the same. So I'm just going to tap them. And if you've done the previous model with me, you know exactly what to do. So follow along with me. What is the first landmark that we're going to pin? That's right. It's the dart. Intake point, sewing line goes right through the middle of the dart. We're going to hold this in place, put our two fingers in front of it and put a pin there at the apex of the dart and the intake point. Next landmark. Come on. First button, that's it. Last but not least, our break line. So now do the same thing. Lift this up, allow the canvas to just roll down, followed by the fabric like so. And if you have a extended hip, piece in your canvas, then you also know exactly what to do with that. So it's not very difficult. Pin the front edge, pin the bottom, the base of the dart, the surface, and the bottom. I'll just simply see where the cut is, put a dart underneath there, move everything to the front by just opening up this wedge that we have here, this cut, like so, and that can lay flat. Slightly lift up the fabric without the distortions being too visible, like that. And that should make your grain similar to the grain of your canvas. That's it. And you can put one extra pin here to hold things in place. So I'm not going to even assess this right now because I know exactly that it's going to be fine. What I'll do is I'll baste it and then assess it with you. So let's do the basting. We're going to have the separation. That's going to be the gorge intersection of the break line. So 5/8 behind the break line, 5/8 below the gorge. Quick measure, 2 inch around the armhole, 5/8 behind the break line and the front edge. Then we have our middle line, and here we have a curved dart, but we'll just follow the straight line of the dart, and that's it. And now for the sides, just check to see where your canvas is. So starting from the middle, just make sure that this shape is somewhat out of your way, nothing is pulling. Same bite sizes and stitch lengths as I described earlier, and make sure that you go in front of this seam. The reason why this is important is because we're going to attach the other side of the seam on the inside to the canvas, and for that we need to have access to it. So I'll just simply move over the shape and continue. That was very simple to do. Next line of sewing is going to be, of course, the line behind our break line. And again, for this you can put the block behind the chest, or the bust in this case. Remove your pin, allow everything to just follow smoothly. As you get close to the intake point and the top of the dart, remove the block, push the bust out, simulate gravity. You can remove the front pins if you wish. You would have to do that anyway if you want to put that bubble in. Just simulate gravity like that. Fabric is going to sit on top of one another, and you can continue basting. All right, so lift the chest up, start where your upper point is. Now here, because I have taken the same amount of fabric as I've done on the canvas, I don't have that surplus that you saw earlier on the men's model, which is of course very nice. Block. Now here, in this case, I don't know if you would have it on a different fabric, I can see that the fabric wants to go towards the middle. Now, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm simply going to make sure that the fabric is somewhat flat against the canvas. I'm not doing any specific pulling or what, so I'm just, clearing it so that it's flat against the canvas, that's all. Block goes away, bust pops out, back tack, and that's it. That is how to canvas a ladies model. If you can canvas a men's model, then you can also canvas a ladies model. So let's, before we press, assess this, have a look, then press, then look again, and then enjoy. So without having pressed anything, we can already go through the checks. Everything is pretty much bang on. It's all nice and smooth. And if you look at it from the side, you can see that acute bust shape, and that's really what we want to see when we are making tailored garments. Now, if I would kind of like go with my hands over the fabric, I can feel that every single area is just against the canvas, and there is nothing that is kind of like standing away from the canvas. So let's press it and then see the final result. So we can grab our block, position everything, and press. Move over to the front. Now here you have to be a bit more careful. You can't just go into a straight line. You have to really work in sections. So first do the bust, and then once you've done that, you can just remove the block, get this out of the way, and press the front. Then we're going to take our ham, and here again we're going to work in small sections. This is a fantastic shape to really get the bust fitting in there and press it part by part. And the top of the bust. Let's check it out. Here we have the final result of our ladies model forepart, and if you've gone through all the steps correctly, you should have a very smooth looking forepart with a pronounced bust shape. It's as if it's carved out of stone. That's how you can look at it. It's sexy, elegant, and inspiring.